Please welcome Erin Lorensen.
Okay. So, while in my psych nursing class, we were asked to fill out this questionnaire. Can't promise I won't need the tissues later, but they're casting a shadow. All right, so has there ever been a period when you're not your usual self and A, you feel so good or were so hyper that other people thought you were not your normal self, or you were so hyper that you got into trouble? Let's see, that's definitely a yes. B, you were so irritable that you shouted at people or started fights or arguments. That's another yes. You felt much more self-confident than usual. Sure have. You got much less sleep than usual and found you really didn't miss it. Yep. You were much more talkative or spoke faster than usual. Honestly, have you guys met me? Thoughts raced through your head or you couldn't slow down your mind. Are you trying to tell me that's not normal? You were so easily distracted by things around you, and you have trouble concentrating or staying on task. Let's see. Is this really asking me if I have squirrel? I sure do. You had more energy than usual. Is everybody else in my class answering yes to everything? You were much more active or did things more than usual. Okay, this is getting a little scary. You were much more social or outgoing than usual. For example, you telephoned friends in the middle of the night. Well, Mike and Stephanie are always awake in the middle of the night. They're night owls like me. You're more interested in sex than usual. Okay, that's getting a little personal, but yes, sorry, Mom and Dad. You did things that were unusual for you that other people might have thought were excessive, foolish, or risky. I think so I probably should say yes. Spending money got you or your family into trouble. Did you really have to bring that up? Question 2. If you answered yes to more than one of the above, have several of these happened during the same period of time? Doesn't it make sense that they would all happen at the same time? They don't happen when I'm depressed, duh. Question 3. How much of a problem did this cause you? Like being unable to work, having family, money, or legal troubles, or getting into arguments or fights? Please select one response only. A, no problem. B, minor problem. C, moderate problem. D, serious problem. Oh, well, honestly, Jason would probably say moderate problem, so I probably should too. Question 4. Have any of your blood relatives, children, siblings, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, had manic depressive illness or bipolar disorder? Well, as far as I know, nobody has that diagnosis, but I kind of think maybe my Aunt Luann might have been, possibly my Uncle Dennis, but I guess they don't have the diagnosis, so I can't say. So I guess this one's a no. Has a healthcare professional ever told you you have manic depressive illness or bipolar disorder? No, but I do have depression, and in fact, I just started back on my Celexa, and I'll start to feel better soon. Okay, let's see what all these answers mean for me. Criteria for results. Answering yes to 7 or more of the events in question 1, and answering yes to question 2, and answering moderate problem or serious problem to question 3 is considered a positive screen result for bipolar disorder. So, yeah, I guess I have bipolar. That definitely explains a lot. So we continue to learn more about bipolar and bipolar type 2 more in depth in our nursing class. As we discuss the type 2 portion, I blurt out, you just totally described me to a T. So my classmates, of course, were so used to me just blurting out at that time, but my instructor, Carrie, she looked at me for a few moments, and then she told me to stay after class so we could discuss it a little further. Now, see, Carrie was the perfect person to discuss this with. She had just become a psych nurse practitioner, and she actually had bipolar herself. So I stayed after class and spoke with her, and she agreed it did sound like I had bipolar type 2. She encouraged me to go speak with my doctor right away and to wean off of my Celexa. See, Celexa is an SSRI drug class, and it's actually dangerous for someone with bipolar to take that alone because it can put them into hypomania or mania. But that definitely explained why I always seem to only need my antidepressants for a very short period of time. And yes, I do admit, I was that person who stopped taking my medication as soon as I felt great, which usually wasn't long after I started taking them. Even though I respected Carrie a great deal, I chose not to follow her advice. I didn't want the diagnosis of bipolar. I'd been diagnosed in my 20s with depression and hardly shared that with anyone. That was 5 years ago. And fast forward 2 years from that 5, and I was a charge nurse in a psych hospital, and I absolutely loved my job. Things were so perfect in my life. Jason and I had just accomplished our biggest goal of selling our house and building a new one. We had amazing friends who we spent every weekend with, and all of our kids were great friends. We would say we were family. I couldn't have been happier. All of this actually kicked me into a 6-week hypomanic episode. And man, I was on top of the world. I hardly needed sleep, I rarely needed to eat, and I was often the life of the party. But as the saying goes, all things must come to an end. And boy, it sure did, and it was hard. I went into a severe depressive state and was experiencing very scary thoughts of suicide with a plan. I admitted those thoughts to Jason, and we saw my doctor right away. It was time to accept my diagnosis. I couldn't avoid it any longer. So fall of 2013, bipolar type 2 was officially added to my medical chart. I was started on a mood stabilizer and an antidepressant. Now, I was pretty lucky in the fact that I responded pretty darn well to my meds, unlike others who have to go through quite a few to find the right cocktail of what works for them. Even though I had responded well to the meds and I was doing much better, the damage had already been done during my hypomanic and depressive state. It took a huge toll on my marriage, my family, and my friendships. So early fall of 2015, I was lost, and I decided to do something I never thought I would do, and I signed on to participate in a pageant. I knew right away I wanted to have a platform of mental health awareness. I thought I would just share facts about mental health, and I'd go volunteer out in the community. I still hadn't shared my diagnosis, and in all honesty, I really didn't think I would. Early 2016, I was invited to be a guest at the Greater Gala. I spoke briefly, and I actually shared my diagnosis in a room of a little over 100 people, and it felt amazing. A weight was lifted off my shoulders. I realized that if I wanted to make a difference, I had to be open and not ashamed of my diagnosis. I saw that shortly after that gala, International Bipolar Day was March 31st. It's actually Vincent van Gogh's birthday, which makes sense. So I decided to participate in that day by holding up a sign describing a little bit about me and ending it with, "I have bipolar." I put it on Facebook, and that was the day that I made it known that I have bipolar, and I've continued to speak out. The last 3 years, though, have been a roller coaster. Luckily, it's not really an upside-down roller coaster, except for the first part of my diagnosis. It's more like a regular one, but still more than a kiddie roller coaster. I admit, though, some of it's due to me taking what we call a medication vacation. It's not always easy seeing pills in your hand and knowing that you need to take these every day to be stable. Plus, the side effects can get really old and really frustrating. See, the side effects that I've been blessed with are nausea, mild hand tremors at times, and oh so lovely bloating and constipation. Yep, that's correct. You just heard a girl who is in sparkly pants, and let's be honest, gorgeous pink sparkly heels. Thank you. But yes, I just admitted to that, and I'm sure that's something you never thought you would hear tonight. Although I'll say the most frustrating side effect for me, you would think it would be the constipation, but the most frustrating one is my thinking is actually slowed down, and I mix up my words without knowing it, and I feel really dumb when it's pointed out to me. I've nicknamed it lamictal brain. My coworkers are well aware of that. I had a very wise friend tell me a year ago that if I'm going to be an advocate for mental health, I need to be mentally healthy and take my meds. She was right. So I've accepted that meds, side effects and all, are part of my everyday life, which is no different than those who have diabetes. I have now accepted my diagnosis, and I'm grateful to Carrie for having us do that questionnaire and showing me that it's good to embrace my diagnosis and not be ashamed that it's part of me. I'm a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, an aunt, a friend, a nurse, mental health advocate, pageant girl, animal lover, dreamer, and definitely a lover of everything pink and sparkly. And I happen to have bipolar. All of these are part of what makes me me. Thank you.